Welcome back, folks. I'm Jake Ellenbogen. Today we're going to be talking about the Rams, and we're going to be talking, as always, we always talk about the Rams, but we're going to be talking about my post-preseason game one, that's a mouthful, 53-man roster prediction. Before we dive into that, be sure to like, subscribe, and comment. Also, be sure to follow me on all social media at JKBogan. And I just want to let you guys know, of course, that today's sponsor of this video is none other than BetUS. You can get 125% sign-up bonus today 3 times and up to $2,000 on BetUS using my promo link in the description and in the comments section below. Go ahead, sign up today. That is BetUS, the sponsor of this video. So, guys, I went back and forth. We did a 53-man roster not that long ago. And, you know, I think I didn't want to be that guy that's going to do one after every preseason game, and I probably won't, but this was the first preseason game, so I figured let's do an updated one, okay? Starting at quarterback, Jimmy Garoppolo is suspended for the first 2 games of the NFL season. He is on the suspended list. I don't think they're going to have to keep him on the 53. They shouldn't have to. They've done it before. So I think Jimmy Garoppolo will be fine, won't have to be on the 53-man roster. And so Matthew Stafford is your quarterback there, and Stetson Bennett is your quarterback, the de facto backup that we were talking about. Now, I could see them going after Ryan Tannehill. I could see them, maybe trading for a quarterback, but Garoppolo is only suspended for 2 games, so I don't know if they would trade for one. I think Tannehill would make the most sense, so we'll see on that front. But for now, Matthew Stafford, Stetson Bennett, the first 2 on the list. Running back, Kyren Williams, Blake Corum, Ronnie Rivers, okay? 3 guys that have essentially, they did not play, in week 1 of the preseason, and that is important. That's a good distinction, right, of okay, yeah, the Rams probably feel really good about them, and when you don't play in preseason, you're likely already on the roster, or you're hurt. And I didn't see anything where, and I could be wrong, but I didn't see anything where Ronnie Rivers was hurt, so I'm just going to operate with the assumption that he's not hurt, he is going to make the roster. Ronnie Rivers makes this roster, so I have 3 running backs, but I actually have them keeping 4. And, of course, that's up between Boston Scott, who was signed towards the end of the dead period, right, going into training camp, and Zach Evans, who they've spent a draft pick on, 6th rounder, out of Ole Miss, transferred from TCU. And I think the winner of that battle is Boston Scott. I think he offers just more all around. Okay, so I think obviously the returnability helps. I think he's going to be the Rams punt returner, if I'm being honest. I think he'll be out there for kickoffs as well with Tutu Atwell. But I think he offers more just as a pure running back. I wasn't overly impressed with Zach Evans' preseason game at all. So Boston Scott ends up getting that 4th spot. So now that's 6 guys on the roster. You have 53 slots. Wide receiver, I have the Rams keeping 6 here. This is tough. I could even see them keeping 5 if they need other positions, because I think they're actually good with just 5. I'll be honest with you. Cooper Kupp, Puka Nacua, Demarcus Robinson, Tutu Atwell, and Jordan Whittington is a really good 5 tandem, but I have them keeping Tyler Johnson as their 6th. I don't have a 7th. If there is a 7th, I think it would be Xavier Smith. I had a hard time keeping him off this list, and I would not be surprised if he does make it. He's had a great camp, but I do not have him making the team here. So with that said, we're now up to 12 on the roster. Those are the 6 wide receivers: Kupp, Nacua, Robinson, Tutu, Whittington, and Tyler Johnson. Moving on to tight ends. Again, 12 so far on the roster. Tight end, Tyler Higbee is going to be on the physically unable to perform list to start the season because the brutal hit and the dirty hit of Kirby Joseph. And if you don't believe me, go and watch it if you never have, and go and check out TJ Hawkinson. He had the same fate. So Tyler Higbee won't be ready to go week 1. That also leaves a roster spot open because he doesn't have to be on the 53-man roster to start the season. Colby Parkinson did not play in the first preseason game. He is a lock. Davis Allen played a little bit, but he's a lock. And I think Hunter Long is going to make this team. Miller Forrestall and, some of the other guys there, like, Kalanick. I could see maybe Forrestall sneaking on if they weren't high on Hunter Long, but I think ultimately Hunter Long is there until Tyler Higbee, is taken off the, PUP list. So those are the three tight ends I have there: Parkinson, Allen, and Long. Again, Forrestall, really nice touchdown reception. He caught all three targets, looked good in the blocking and receiving game. We'll see what he can do, but I think those three are kind of the way it is. I did see Hunter Long play, though, in preseason, so doesn't mean that his spot is necessarily locked in like, say, a Colby Parkinson. So that puts us at, we have 12 so far, so that puts us at 15 with the three tight ends. This is where it gets interesting. So we have 15 right now. Offensive line. Obviously, from left to right, you have starting left tackle Alaric Jackson, starting left guard Jonah Jackson, center Steve Avila, right guard Kevin Dotson, right tackle Rob Havenstein. You got off the bench Joseph Noteboom. You have Warren McClendon Jr., Bo Limmer, Zach Thomas, Logan Bruss, and Connor McDermott. That's right. I have the Rams keeping 11 offensive linemen. Unfortunately, due to injury, I think KT Leviston is going to miss this cut. And I think it is really it's a bummer, but I think he's going to be okay because we're seeing more and more over the course of time. Teams like to work with guys within their organization at offensive line and even just on the practice squad in general. You'll still see guys get picked up. You'll see guys that get claimed, but KT Leviston has not proven anything in any preseason game. He's banged up right now. He's behind the eight ball. I think they have a really good opportunity to bring him back on the practice squad because of that. However, I'm really high on him, so I hope he finds a way in some capacity to just stay in the building because I think he's got a lot of traits, characteristics that you like, and I want to see him in the preseason. And, obviously things can change, but as of right now, I would have him missing the roster. And unfortunately, I think H.J. Curry has done a really nice job of, developing, and, he's probably the 12th or 13th guy here, but he does miss the cut because the signing of Connor McDermott, I think, matters. I understand our Curry started. I understand our Curry had the majority of the reps at left tackle, and he only gave up 2 pressures. Connor McDermott, though, just joined the team. He didn't really get an opportunity this offseason at all. He's been a free agent. So this is a guy that started 5 games last year for New England at left tackle. He can play right tackle. He can play left tackle. I think the Rams are, when they signed him, and they also signed Matt Caskey, and they signed Alec Lindstrom, I think they signed Connor McDermott less as just a camp body and more as, hey, let's get an extra guy in here where this guy's started games before in the past. He has some familiarity there, so let's bring him in. And I think that was the goal there, and that's what they decided to do. And I have no issue with that. So 11 offensive linemen. That puts us at a roster total of 26 on the roster out of 53. And we move on to the defense. So moving on to the defense here, I have 5 defensive linemen on this team: Kobe Turner, Bobby Brown III, Braden Fisk, Desjuan Johnson, and Tyler Davis. Tyler Davis had a huge impact on the Sunday game against the Dallas Cowboys. So did Desjuan Johnson. No one else in that defensive line, circuit that I actually have making the team played. Laurel Murchison played quite a bit. I do think his roster spot is in jeopardy. When they signed him, I looked at it as they're signing him to compete, not necessarily he's going to be on the team. And I'll tell you right now, you could probably bring him back on the practice squad as well. Okay, so I like Murchison. I wouldn't be against keeping him, but is he one of the best 53? It's up in the air. I think he's definitely in that roster bubble, and I'll talk a little bit more about the roster bubble at the end of this video, but, those are my thoughts there. So now, I mentioned 26. Now we're at 31 going into the edge room, and I have the Rams keeping 5 edge defenders. And by the way, going back to defensive line, I think Corey Durden also has a shot because he can play nose tackle. But anyway, back to the edge. I have them keeping 5. This is not going to be easy at all for the Rams. Jared Verse did not play. He's going to start. Byron Young did not play. He's going to start. Michael Hoyt did not play. He's going to start. Another reason why I only kept 5 defensive linemen and 5 edge, because Michael Hoyt can play either. Brennan Jackson was banged up, I believe, but there's a chance that he also worked his way up the rungs enough and he is valuable enough to this team where they just didn't even want to play him. It wouldn't be out of the realm of possibility. Nick Hampton, okay, he played, and he played very well, and he's looked very good in camp, according to multiple reports. I think Hampton gets the final spot in the edge room. Unfortunately, that means Zach Van Valkenburg and O'Shawn Mathis and Keir Thomas, 3 guys that they've spent some development time on, including one of those being a draft pick, and Mathis. I think those 3 get the axe. I think maybe 2 of those 3 make the practice squad. Probably would lean Mathis and Van Valkenburg, and would probably say Keir Thomas is, time with the Rams is up. Maybe not, but that's what I would assume there at edge. So we just talked about it, 31. Now you have 36 on the roster going to linebacker. And I have a surprising number here. The Rams normally don't keep a lot of linebackers, but I think Ernest Jones, his health has been a little concerning. I think it's fair to say that. So seeing right now, 53-man roster, and you talk about having 36 so far, this is going to be 41 with the linebackers. I have them keeping 5. Ernest Jones, Christian Roseboom, Troy Reeder, who did not play. So Roseboom and Ernest Jones didn't play. Troy Reeder didn't play. Those 3 to me are locks to make this team. I think Jake Hummel's going to make this team. And I think it's a 50-50 split here. I'm going to lean towards the experience of Olakunle Fatukasi, who was on the team last year. But I would not be surprised if Omar Spates beats him out for that last linebacker job. So right now, I'm going to lean Fatukasi. I'm going to have them keep 5 here. And we just talked about 36. This gets them up to 41 on the roster. Okay, so now we have 41 guys going into the corners. And this will be a surprising number to you guys. I have them keeping 4 cornerbacks. Darius Williams, Tre'Davious White, Kobe Durant, and newcomer Jerry Jacobs. Okay, that's how I see it. They didn't sign Jerry Jacobs to cut him. He's going to make this team. Unfortunately, I think Trey Tomlinson is on the outside looking in. Charles Woods had a great camp, and Cam McCutcheon started the preseason game. But I do think ultimately those guys are going to, miss the cut here. So, of course, at 41, now this puts us at 45 on the roster. Safety, you have 5 that I'm going to hold here. 5 safeties: Cameron Curl, Quentin Lake, John Johnson III, Cameron Kinchins, and Russ Yeast. Those are your 5 safeties. That puts us at 50 with 3 special teamers to go. I decided to cut Jalen McCullough and Jason Taylor II and Sean Jolly. Not easy. I think Jolly showed some really good promise in that game. He's also played in the NFL, actual regular season games. Jalen McCullough was everywhere. Really sound tackler. I thought he had a great performance. And Jason Taylor II was the same thing. A former 7th round draft pick out of Oklahoma State that they like. I don't know. He could make the roster. I don't know if they're going to keep 6 safeties. 5 may be even too much, but I do like that number of 5. I can't see them cutting any of those guys. Even though Russ Yeast was surprisingly playing, and this is a guy that started games last year for them, I just don't see them cutting him. So I think the safeties, lock and load there. You got 50, and then the special teamers there. The specialists, You got kicker, rookie kicker, Joshua Carty, didn't miss a field goal on Sunday, looked really good. Ethan Evans, the punter, had a really good rookie year. We'll see what he does in year 2. And Alex Ward, the long snapper, who comes back from an injury last year. I think that's what we're going to see. I think Boston Scott will be your punt returner, and I think Tutu Atwell and Boston Scott will be back to return kicks, and they'll probably have all sorts of plays and things drawn up of that nature to have creative ways of attacking, with that special teams unit. Now, in conclusion, the bubble, right? These are the guys that you're going to want to keep an eye on they didn't make the cut in this first projection. I said prediction, by the way, incorrect. Projection. So the first projection of the preseason so far, these are the guys that missed it. Keep an eye on Zach Evans, running back. I'm not saying he's going to make it, but they very well could keep him as an extra running back. So they could keep 5. We'll see how the roster math works. Xavier Smith was really close to keeping him, but they don't need 7 receivers. He is somebody that can help in special teams and gadget opportunities, so maybe he makes the team. He's had a really good camp. I wouldn't be shocked. He's on the bubble. AJR Curry, like I mentioned, guy had a really good game. He played really well last year in the preseason. He's been somebody that they've worked with. They spent draft capital on. We'll see what happens. I have him on the bubble. KT Leviston has been playing some tackle, apparently, in training camp. Did get banged up. We'll see what ends up happening with him. He did not play in the preseason. He's going to need to play a few of those one of those 2 preseason games, I would say, to have a shot of making this roster. But ultimately, even if they can't keep him, I think he is able to sneak on to the 50th on the practice squad because he was a late round pick as it is. Corey Durden, defensive lineman, very, very likely that this guy could get claimed. I think he's a good player. They got him last year, and I'll tell you right now, I think he could really help this team, the interior, his presence, nose tackle, but also the ability to rush the passer, and we saw that. Kind of almost got the sack on Trey Lance. He escaped from it, but we saw Corey Durden. He is on the bubble. Laurel Murchison, he's on the bubble. Signed, in my opinion, to battle in camp and preseason. Not necessarily a lock to make the roster. We'll see what ends up happening with him. Edge defenders, O'Shawn Mathis and Zach Van Valkenburg. O'Shawn Mathis feels like the least likely of those 2. He's got a great athletic profile. There's a lot to like there. I think there's a chance he could develop into something. But I think with Van Valkenburg, he played the majority of the game, got way more reps. And keep in mind, he got more reps. It wasn't like Mathis started the game and didn't get a lot of reps. Mathis played the end of the game or towards the end of the game. So Van Valkenburg was out there really putting in the work, going up against some big-time talent, in my opinion, in Tyler Guyton. And he didn't win anything against Tyler Guyton, but I liked his motor. And, this is somebody that I thought really turned some heads as the game went on. He really got into a rhythm. He led the team in pressures in this game. So we'll see what ends up happening with ZVV. But I'll tell you right now, wouldn't be surprised if he made the roster. And I would be shocked if he wasn't brought back on the practice squad if another team doesn't claim him. Linebacker Omar Spates, like I mentioned previously, the LSU product. He's somebody that I would not be surprised at all if he made the team. Every year it seems like there's like UDFA or 2 that the Rams like to keep from a class. If there's one guy that they're going to keep from this UDFA class, to me, I think it would be Omar Spates. I really do. So we'll see what ends up happening there. He's on the bubble. Trey Tomlinson is on the bubble. He's playing in these games. I thought he had a good game, but I'm just not overly confident. He didn't get a ton of opportunities last year. They go out and they sign Jerry Jacobs. It almost seems like he jumped ahead of him on the roster already. So I am a little concerned about that. I really like Trey Tomlinson. Maybe he needs a year on the practice squad, kind of take a step back a little bit. We'll see. Now, kind of how when you drive a car off the lot, it depreciates. Trey Tomlinson's no longer that rookie. So he should be easier to sneak onto the practice squad. We'll see what ends up happening. I think they definitely want to get Charles Woods on the practice squad. He's probably not going to make this roster. Same with Josh Wallace. But those are 2 guys that they like, UDFAs. Woods has really showed out the most in camp from what has been reported. So we'll see what ends up happening there. But those guys are on the bubble, and I would expect those guys to be likely practice squad candidates. Sean Jolly, if they can swing it. This is somebody that's been in the NFL for a little bit now. He's been on other teams. We'll see if they can sneak him on the practice squad, but he's also on the bubble. Could also work his way into this roster. Jalen McCullough, same thing. thing. They had him doing a lot of different things on Sunday. They gave him a lot of reps, and he really answered the bell. We'll keep an eye on him. I don't think they're going to keep 6 safeties, but maybe he has a shot there. Tanner Engel, same thing, was mentioned by name by Sean McVay. Had another really good preseason, was great last year in preseason. We'll see what ends up happening with Engel. And the same thing is, with Jason Taylor II. Bottom line is the Rams have tough cuts ahead. It's not going to be easy to make these cuts. It's not going to be easy to put this 53-man roster together. This is a better 53-man roster in the past because what you're seeing is they might have to cut a guy that they drafted this year in KT Leviston. And when you start cutting players that you just drafted, that's how you know this depth has taken over, okay? That's how you know the roster has expanded and it has gotten a lot tougher to make. So take, everything out of that, what you will. At the end of the day, I think the Rams have a very, very talented roster, and there's no reason to really panic as long as they go into the season pretty healthy. Darion Kendrick, we talked about, he got hurt. I still like their corners. I do. I would have loved to see Akello back. I understand why, he's not back. I do get that. He wants to start. Totally understand that. But overall, really like the makeup of this roster. I think they have a bunch of different things that they can do. They can utilize Jordan Whittington this year in the slot. They can use him on the outside. They can flex Parkinson out wide. They can flex, Davis Allen out wide. When Tyler Higbee and Jimmy Garoppolo come back, it's going to make the team better. They got 2 to 3, in my opinion, star options in Curl and Lake and Russ Yeast. I think Cameron Kinchins has really, turned some heads where he could actually have a legitimate role this year. Loved picking up John Johnson III. And I really like this team. And I think they're going to really turn some heads and be very surprising this year. I also wanted to give a shout out. I didn't talk about him, but Justin Dedich, and I hope I said his name right, the interior offensive lineman UDFA, was one of the best offensive linemen for the Rams in preseason. He was ranked very high in that game against Dallas. So Dedich could be considered a bubble guy that I missed there, but that's going to do it. Special thanks as always to BetUS for sponsoring the video. Once again, you guys can check out that promo link in the comments section and the description below. 125% sign-up bonus up to $2,000 times 3 using that link. So be sure to check that out. Be sure to follow me on all social media at JKBogan. Subscribe, like, comment, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Take care, folks. Later. Do you love talking about the Rams, the NFL, or just want to be a part of a community? Join my free Discord server today. We're over 800 members. We got 24/7 live chat, a level 3 boosted server, the ability to call into JE Live, playing online games with us on Kick streams, toggleable alerts for when I go live on YouTube or Kick so you don't miss a live stream, and exclusive giveaways. Click the link in the description, the comments section, or the link that comes up in the video to learn more and join today.